If you've spent your career diligently stuffing money into a 401k or traditional IRA, you might feel like you've built a mountain of wealth. But those pre-tax accounts aren't entirely yours. They hold a built-in tax liability that gathers mass and momentum the longer you leave it alone. Eventually, the IRS wants its cut. Once you hit a certain age, the government mandates required minimum distributions, or RMDs. They force you to pull that money out and pay ordinary income tax on it, whether you need the cash or not. And if you pass away before draining the account, your heirs inherit that exact same tax burden. Standard financial advice usually tells you to defer your taxes for as long as possible, but blindly following that logic and optimizing only to keep this year's tax bill low can severely damage the total value of your estate. Pushing the obligation down the road keeps cash in your pocket today. But mathematically, allowing a pre-tax balance to compound guarantees that your family will ultimately hand over a much larger sum to the IRS later. Figuring out how to dismantle this pre-tax liability requires a decision tree approach. Before you move a single dollar, you have to decide what exactly you are trying to optimize. There is no one-size-fits-all answer here. This diagram outlines how your pre-tax wealth splits into two paths. The first path is optimizing for your own lifetime. This means prioritizing your available liquidity right now and doing everything possible to minimize your immediate tax bills. The second path is optimizing for your heirs. This strategy demands converting your pre-tax money into Roth assets. You absorb the tax hit today so your children can inherit a pool of completely tax-free wealth. You have to pick a lane. You are deciding between protecting your immediate cash flow to fund your lifestyle or accepting a heavier tax burden now to maximize the total after-tax wealth your children will receive. Let's look at the first profile, the legacy maximizer. This path is entirely focused on leaving the absolute largest tax-free balance possible to the next generation. This matrix maps out the strategy's cost. To build tax-free inheritance, the legacy maximizer executes aggressive Roth conversions during lower-income retirement years, before forced RMDs begin. They build maximum Roth wealth but trigger high immediate taxes. Moving this money generates substantial ordinary income. You must pull from cash reserves or sell taxable brokerage assets to write the massive checks covering the federal tax bill. On the opposite side of the spectrum is the lifestyle preserver. This path is designed for those who refuse to drain their cash reserves or voluntarily spike their living expenses to pay taxes early. Returning to the matrix, the lifestyle preserver row relies on limited conversions. This protects current cash flow and healthcare access, but it guarantees a future tax bomb when those forced withdrawals finally hit. A major reason retirees choose this path is healthcare. Before you reach Medicare age, Affordable Care Act premium subsidies are strictly tied to your income. Because Roth conversions artificially inflate your taxable income, a single aggressive conversion can wipe out your ACA subsidies entirely. Even after age 65, conversions carry a hidden penalty. High income triggers Medicare IRMA surcharges, significantly increasing your monthly premiums if you execute large conversions during your Medicare years. Protecting your ACA subsidies or dodging IRMA surcharges preserves your lifestyle today, but maintaining that lower tax bracket means you leave your pre-tax accounts fully exposed, mathematically forcing a massive tax burden onto your heirs. Some retirees want to bypass these constraints entirely, which brings us to a third profile, the geographic arbitrager. This is someone willing to completely uproot their physical life to exploit tax loopholes. When you convert pre-tax money, you owe both federal and state income tax. Changing your residency aggressively accelerates your ability to convert because it removes the friction of state-level taxes entirely. The tactic is straightforward. You legally relocate to a state with zero income tax or move abroad entirely, specifically during the few years you plan to execute your largest Roth conversions. The financial savings are high, but the logistical costs are severe. Bypassing state taxes requires ironclad legal residency changes, severing ties with your home state, and enduring extreme lifestyle disruption. This chart illustrates how early sacrifices pay off. By enduring lifestyle disruption and paying federal tax up front, you change your wealth composition. Watch the vulnerable pre-tax wealth shrink as a rapidly growing block of permanent Roth wealth takes its place. By age 85, this massive tax-free block only exists because the retiree absorbed the high initial conversion costs and relocation hassle. There are no free lunches in the tax code. To shield your money from the IRS, you have to trade away either your current financial liquidity or your geographic stability. Ultimately, every single retirement tax plan leads to a point of severe financial friction. Looking at this timeline graph, we can map the burden. If you choose the legacy path, you can see how it front-loads the financial pain. That line spikes sharply in your 60s because you are making aggressive, voluntary Roth conversions and paying the tax now. Conversely, the lifestyle path keeps the early years flat, but it merely delays the inevitable. That second line spikes massively in your 80s, representing the involuntary taxes triggered when the IRS forces you to withdraw those required minimum distributions. You cannot magically eliminate your tax bill. Your only real power is choosing the decade in which the check is cashed. To figure out which path you actually belong on, you need to map out exactly what you are willing to endure today. This chart evaluates your options. If you have limited cash reserves, rely heavily on ACA subsidies, or simply cannot stomach writing a large check to the IRS this year, you belong in the lower left quadrant. You are a lifestyle preserver, accepting low future tax-free wealth in exchange for low current financial pain. But if you have strong cash reserves and your ultimate goal is securing generational wealth, you have to move to the upper right quadrant. You must accept the high pain of immediate conversion taxes to guarantee a high yield of future tax-free wealth. True financial success in retirement is not measured by the absolute absence of taxation. That is a myth. A successful retirement tax strategy requires identifying exactly what you want your wealth to do and then strategically paying the IRS strictly on your own terms to make it happen.